Alan Watt of CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com. How are you today, Alan?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah.
Well, I want to get your take on this latest DHS document and really just the out-of-control nature of police officers around the country. We just played that clip where this girl is trying to call 911 for her father. She uses the naughty F word. God forbid she uses the F word because she's in a panic, and she's actually hung up on by these police officers. Then she goes down 4 blocks to try to, report this to the police department. The only officer that's on duty is the one that took her phone calls, and she's immediately arrested. I mean, what does that say about our society?
Well, we've had gradual indoctrination over 20-odd years, maybe 30, mainly through fictional media, entertainment, beginning even with Starsky and Hutch, which was banned in Britain at one time because they eventually started pulling their guns out on everybody they saw on every episode, but now it's a standard fare. The cops are the bosses, they're the authoritarian figures, and the cops themselves come out of the same society of indoctrination, so they truly believe that they are authoritarian figures and we're supposed to obey them. They don't get taught that they're there to serve the public anymore, and they haven't been taught that for an awful long time. And we've got to remember, too, police are in the business of laying charges. That's their function. Mm-hmm. And if you call the cops for anything, I think really you're a fool, because there's even videos up there with ex-cops who are now these lawyers that went into law, stating quite openly that that's their function, is to lay charges on people. They don't care who. And they actually call on the videos up on Google, they actually call on the public stupid, and explain why they're stupid. Because the public perception is still the old perception that the cops are there to help them. Cops are not there to help you. They're there to get charges laid on anybody. For anything. It doesn't matter if you call them and they come into your house just to have a chat. If they find anything at all they can charge you with, they'll do it. And we've got to understand that's really what their purpose is. Yeah. All
right, well, let's shift gears to this latest DHS document, Domestic Extremism Lexicon. I mean, this one, this is the 3rd document from DHS that we've talked about, obviously the 4th if you include the MIAC report, but right out of the gates, they say this is for non-Islamic extremism in this country, and really DHS was built up under the guise that we were going to fight Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and we needed this new agency, but nothing could be further from the truth. This is for the American public, is it not?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But then again, people who still believe that government is there to serve them, once again need to get their head checked, because that went out a long time ago. The government has an agenda, and they'll lie about everything to get a law in the books, which they intend to expand as soon as it's passed. So absolutely, that's the whole key. We're going into a complete new world order where we will have no rights whatsoever. They've made that quite plain. Mm-hmm. And all they need is our compliance at every stage to accept it, and then they can bring through the next part and the next part and the next part. There are no rights and freedoms anymore as far as governments are concerned. And the public are now being trained that that is so as well.
Absolutely. And in the UK right now, they have now banned 16 people from coming into the country. They're only releasing 10 names. Who knows who the other 6 are? But this same woman is out there saying, you know what, on top of that, this ID card is great, and we can play that clip. In fact, we'll play that clip coming up in the next segment. She's basically saying, oh, the biometric thumb scan and your face scan will be on this card, and it's a good thing because people already have to prove who they are, and it's really inconvenient if you have to bring in your electric bill, all this nonsense. And then she says, well, it really doesn't matter anyway because 30,000 people already have it, and by the end of the year, 70,000 will have it. Like you said, it's this incremental step into this new world order, and I think that's a big part of it.
It's a big part, and again, it was planned a long time ago because back in the 90s, on mainstream Canadian CBC government television, Wendy Mesler had a show where she talked about the coming ID cards in the mid-90s, actually it was 1998. Mm-hmm. And she talked to the manufacturers that would be manufacturing it for Canada, the US, and Britain. She talked to the Border Patrol guys, too, who had already implemented it on a voluntary basis back in 1998. And when she says, well, a lot of people won't like this, to the heads of the corporation that prints them up and makes them, the guy said the public will be given no option anyway. They'll have to take it. So this is a plan that was made a long time ago, and it's simply being rammed through under the guise of security.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we have the internet being regulated at all ends. We have this Cybersecurity Act being introduced by Jay Rockefeller. We now have H.R. 1966, the Cyberbullying Act, where really they say, oh, we have to save the children from the internet, with literally no statistics to support their claims. For instance, they say 60% of mental health professionals who responded to a survey of internet mental health issues report having treated at least one patient, with problematic internet experiences in the previous 5 years. So one person in 5 years had a bad experience on the internet, supposedly caused their mental illness. We know that's not the case. They're probably mentally ill or just put into that subsection so that they could heavily medicate them, as that's part of the plan. And then they say 54% of these clients were 18 years of age or younger. I mean, that's just ludicrous. So let's just shut down the internet, or let's just charge people. They're saying that they'll be able to charge people and convict them, and they'll have to do 2 years in prison and pay a fine.
It's much, much bigger than that. Even FDR said there are lies in politics, then there are damned lies, and then there are statistics. Because with statistics, you can prove anything you want to prove, you see, and we don't see them as lies. We think it's scientific data. That's why they're always saying it's statistics. But it's just lies, just nonetheless. They have an agenda. The internet was put out there to get everyone on it because they could not have a totally controlled society without using the internet and getting us hooked on it for everything. Now we're going into a world cashless society. We're going into a world where you can't pay your rent, your mortgage, or anything except through internet. So eventually, if they blacklist you, you'll be unable to pay for anything. You'll be an outcast. You'll be on the streets, and they're going to use it as a form of punishment and control on the public. That's why we've got it.
And so many people... Yeah. So many people are out there volunteering their information, not even realizing, how serious it is. When you have a Facebook page, and I have a Facebook page, I have a MySpace, but I'm not constantly updating. People put their status on there. They literally tell their life story, what I'm doing at this minute, that minute, this minute. They put up pictures from every event they've ever been to. I've never been a big picture hound. I don't really post that much stuff. But they are literally creating a profile on themselves that will be databased by this government.
It's already been stated by the British and Canadian governments. They're using everything on that you put up voluntarily as legal evidence, should they ever have to use it against you.
Absolutely. I want to go and I want to play this clip of this monster of a woman who has banned against 16 people from her country and is gleefully talking about the coming identification cards in the United Kingdom. You see, government's here to help and protect and stop terror, and she just makes up all these ludicrous lies that people are just randomly wandering around with their bills and their information and their passports. People carry their passports when they're leaving the country or entering another one. I only carry my electric bill when I'm going to pay it, Alan. I mean, her arguments are absolutely insane.
Well, there are no arguments at all. It's just a political liar giving you the spiel, and that's her job. Politicians don't see the public as someone they're responsible to. They see the public as basically just a big herd that must be manipulated and lied to in order to get what's right for them, how they should behave and how they should act, etc. Back in the 90s, Canada and the U.S. and all British Commonwealth countries bought in. I mean, Canada alone bought 5 Super Cray computers. Australia did the same thing. These were owned by the post office, of all places. And they created massive buildings for them. No one could tell us what they were for, because one Super Cray computer could handle all the data of everyone in the U.S. and Canada. And it turns out it was for the coming ID cards that we're now hearing about. This is back in the 90s. They were already building the facilities for it. We're simply living through an agenda, and it's the politicians' job simply to con us to go along with it, thinking it's under the guise of
Absolutely, and we'll be back to discuss that on the other side. It's the Alex Jones Show.
Alex Jones here with a question. What does humidity mean to you? Most people think of hot and sticky summer days, but many people are beginning to realize that humidity can be a valuable source of pure drinking water. That's why I'd like you to visit acolablue.com. Acola Blue is a state-of-the-art atmospheric water generator producing purified drinking water from the humidity in the air using reverse osmosis and a 5-stage carbon and UV light filtration system, which produces great-tasting water at an unbeatable price. Finally, drinking water that you control. I use one every day. Say goodbye to expensive water delivery services and storing 5-gallon bottles of water in your home. The Ecola Blue 28 is shipped right to your home, ready to make close to 7 gallons a day, right out of the box. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call Ecola Blue right now at 1-800-691-6043. That's 1-800-691-6043. Or visit Ecola Blue at ECOLOBLUE.com today.